Well, hello everyone. I'm back. It's been a long time and I've lost so many subscribers. That's okay. I'm not doing this for popularity. Yeah, so I thought it was time for another personal share, um, sharing the progress of deepening or expanding or releasing of this awakening that is happening here. Yeah, so it seems like my beingness has decided to follow the manual of the process of awakening. If there was a process, the stages of awakening, my beingness says, "Ooh, there's the manual. Let's do it exactly like this." And I have been completely aware and recognize each shift and stage as it has happened over the last, I don't know, 7 to 10 years of Kundalini, and then post awakening, whatever you want to call that. Yeah. And so it's really interesting how, I mean, each time there's a shift, your mind would say, oh, that's it. Not really. I mean, you know better. That's not it. And you think, what more can I release? What more needs to be released? And I'm just so constantly surprised how much more can be released in these stages of enlightening, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, so I don't even know where I left off. It feels like many months since I last did an update. And let me address something first. I did a video, actually, it was just a recording. And um, let's see, where do I want to begin? Sorry, you know me. I never write anything down or know what I'm going to talk about. So I'm always a little all over the place. But yeah, I did an audio video recording that was that I have since pulled down. I pulled it down almost immediately because I think people interpreted it the wrong way. And what this recording was or sharing was in real time. I was trying to share with you because there was a big unloading process coming up. Uh, I can't even remember the topic, to be honest. It's like my brain and my mental body, which is the whole topic of today's personal share, is being so cleared out. I cannot remember, but I was sharing something that was happening in real time, and I was sharing it from the ego's perspective. And so it sounded very painful. I was doing it early in the morning. So, early in the morning, I sound very painful and like my voice is kind of grovelly. And so I must have sounded really terrible. But I was sharing how in real time, the ego was almost becoming illuminated itself. It was becoming acutely aware in real time. I was doing this of its programs. It was reflecting back on itself. I don't know if that's possible for the ego. Of course it is. Um, and it was a painful, a beautifully painful process for the ego to witness itself and witness the history of having whatever program or false belief that it was witnessing at that time, and how it muddied the whole life of this personality. And it was, oh, I'm feeling it. And it was a very grieving process for the ego itself, right? And it was intense and was so beautiful because at that point it was like the ego itself let go and realize, yeah, we got to let go even further. So it was a very intense process. And I guess in the recording, it came out very weird. and a couple of people thought I was having like a little bit of a breakdown, and I so appreciate people reaching out and offering their help. Um, but everything's okay. Anyway, since that kind of ego rolling back on itself and just seeing the damage, anyway, um, yeah, some other things have been released. It just keeps going deeper and deeper, and it's quite amazing. Um, if anybody's curious, am I still working at that crazy coffee house? Yes, I am, but now I'm down to two days a week, and eventually I've got to get out of there because my health has been incredibly off, bad. It's been a really difficult time, but I know for me, my karma is very physical in the body because I live alone and I've always lived alone. So it's my relationship with my body that triggers all the my um, inner discovery, and oh dear, what false belief do I have with this? And why is this coming up? And then I use the I Ching and it gives me feedback, and that's how I do all my work. So I understand the reason why my health has been because I'm letting go of so many more programs. But yes, I'm still at the coffee house, and I want to say that, I really thought I could go and work and be in the real world and it's hard work. And I really thought that I could bring my awakening process in there and be all present and light up the room and whatever. And that was not the case. I mean, it's a really good experience to keep showing me more of the programs that are running, but also it really after an awakening, which is also a very physical process because of all the changes in your subtle body that need to happen in order to hold the new frequencies. You really need a much more sattvic, a very peaceful, calm life, and you need to let your physical body rest and kind of catch up with the electrical changes that are happening. I have not done that for the last a year and a half, and I would say that my awakening process and the frequencies that should be being embodied have been hindered because of that, because I've been wearing myself out to total exhaustion. And anyway, you don't want to hear that. So what are the changes that has happened? Well, um, I started, the for me, I had this huge, huge like monkey on my back. I understand what that saying feels like this heavy energy about trying to become someone, even though I know that consciously I'm like, I'm okay being a nobody, blah, 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 blah. I need to not, there's no need for me to do anything out in the world. There's no need for me to put up a shingle and have a spiritual business or to talk about the awakening. I'm not here to gain followers. It's not about me anymore. And yet, consciously knowing that, but still having this pressure in my subtle body from the mental body of just, it's so ingrained in us that we have to become somebody and do something in order to earn our keep on this planet or to be a worthwhile human being. That, oh, that touches me because that's what I felt in my whole life. I've I've been I'm the person of the family that really just should take up space in the basement because I never figured out what I'm supposed to do. I haven't really done anything. I have no motivation for it. And yet I have this pressure that, oh, I should be doing something. I should do more YouTube videos. I blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that pressure was getting so intense. And I just then I said, I've had enough. I can feel a little bit of emotion coming up. And I just, in meditation, I consciously just told the universe, I'm ready to let this go. I'm ready to let this go. And some other stuff. I don't recall the process because it comes up so organically in me. When these shifts happen, I get these feelings, these yearnings, and I go, oh, I feel like I need to let this go. It's time to let this go. Anyway, almost immediately, within a couple of days of like the universe could feel the sincerity of it and that I was ready to let go of this need. I remember I was just walking towards the front door and all of a sudden it was like a whoosh. And I thought, oh my God, something's gone. I'm getting chills all over because I just remember the moment when I realized, oh my God, that and the weight and that energy, the weight was right over here. The weight was gone. And I hadn't even had a thought of, I need to do something. I was like, and for like a week, I had silence. It was like the most blissful 5 or 6 days that I can recall in a long time. Just when you're used to having this pressure and the silent chattering of the ego, and then it's gone. It's been such a relief. I mean, and hence why I don't feel motivated often to do any videos anymore because that motivation is completely gone. And the weight of it is such a relief. So that's a huge thing to let go out of the ego. And then okay, so that was a big shift. And then in one of my meditations, let me see if I'm missing anything else. These the shifts that are happening now are subtle, but yet so big. Okay. And okay, so here's what before I get into what I'm going to say next, I want to say that throughout my spiritual journeying, I have always been acutely aware, sensorially wise. I've always been able to feel um, when I have a connection, when I don't have a connection. Like I knew when higher self, soul, I, I could feel it where it was, what it have a strong connection. And then during this process of awakening, I could feel it coming down and entering in, and there was soul infusion. I could feel that. I could feel, and it's not just me feeling and thinking that these things have happened, but it's been the synchronicities and the confirmations from like, oh, I pick up a book and I like, wow, okay, that's exactly what happened. So I've had confirmation of these things. And then, okay, soul infusion. And then I could immediately, and even when I was feeling higher self up here, soul up here, and that connection, and then it dropped down, I always could feel monadic beingness or the atmic or Brahman. The yeah, whatever you want to call it, monadic self. And and then after soul infusion, and then some things happened. Then it was like direct link to monadic self. Right? It was like up there, like I could feel it up there, and that was how it was for like the last year and a half, perhaps. My timing is correct. Well, then what happened in meditation a couple months ago, just as it happens out of the blue, I wasn't doing this. Suddenly, I could feel this geometrical pattern, like a new pattern coming down. And I knew it was beingness. I knew it was the infusion of the monadic self, the direct link. It had landed. Now, the visual that I got may not literally be real, but it's just how my mind can interpret what is going on. I could feel a new geometry. It was a much cleaner, clearer geometry entering, like the blueprint had been set. And after that meditation, I could no longer feel monadic self there. It came in here, right? Beingness has landed. I don't know what that means. But I will also tell you, and I thought I was going crazy, but then it all made sense. Before that happening, I kept saying to myself, I can't feel my soul anymore. I can't feel my soul anymore. Where I'm empty, I'm completely empty. And what happens is, um, this is the dissolution of the causal body beginning. If I'm I'm quite sure it's well on its way or is just beginning, but this is the process that happens. You have soul infusion and you feel soul, and the causal body is still there. But then once the monadic self, there's awareness or awakening of the monadic self, pure being, pure spirit, and I guess there's some deeper realization, then the dissolution of the causal body begins. And that means soul, and like the soul is no longer needs to be here, because the soul slash higher self causal body has all its only job, not only job, but it has been the interpreter between your monadic self and the personality. And so once there's an effusion there, and then there's a direct link, and then embodiment of the monadic self, but it's not necessary to have soul slash causal body. So this is the process that's happening here. And I've had enough confirmation that I feel comfortable stating this, like wild synchronicities. And just recently, I think 2 weeks ago, um, once again, I had this welling up of, you know, I'm just so tired. And this is the, to me, this is what it feels like. Once again, the ego is reflecting on itself, and it said, I've had enough. And what I have had enough of is the mental. I'm so tired of the mental chatter. Now, I will say, I have I have majority of my time of my mind is very quiet. I don't have thoughts like I did before, but there's still programs running in my mental body, and they're related to, um, yeah, I've just lost my train of thought. That are still lingering, and these patterns that have been coming up now are within the mental body, because that's now, like, that's your biggest, your, you go through, you work through the physical, you deal with that, and then you deal on the emotional body, and you get to a certain percentage, and then it's real, even though they're all connected. But then in this awakening process, it's the mental body that like holds everything together. It's like your biggest, oh, your biggest block. But eventually that has to go away too, so that full, and you have this full embodiment and this clear, the release of the mental body is so that you have this undistorted connection with monadic self, whether it's here, 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 whatever. Divine will can be clearly understood. Hello, my Google password is required. Um, anyway, so I was feeling, yeah, so these last couple of months, it's been dealing with these fears that, like, they're like the base fears holding the structure of the mental body. And I just got to the point one day, And then in meditation, where I said, I've had enough. Universe, once again, consciously let these go. I don't know how I do it. I kind of look at them consciously within. I say, I got to let you go. And the fears that are deeply embedded in my mental body are that are also um, the thought patterns holding many of my illnesses and body parts, aches and pains, and terrible. It's terrible getting old. No, um, are dealing with fear of not having enough money, fear of not having food, enough food. I know these are silly fears. Well, they're not. They're pretty standard, but uh, and fear of change. Ooh, I could feel the butterflies in my stomach. Fear of change, fear of not having enough food, fear of not having enough money, and and previously it was like fear of not being somebody, of not doing enough, whatever that released. So I'm dealing with these fears anyway. Yeah, so in meditation I was like, I'm so exhausted. I cannot keep killing myself at this job. It's about money. How ego materialistic do I not trust in the universe? Has the universe not shown me my entire life that I can trust? It's all about trust and and so I just was like, I have got to let go of everything now. This is what I was saying in meditation. It's time. I can feel it. I can feel this process is happening. And then, yeah, so that's the process I'm in currently. And I, I can't tell you all the synchronicities that happened, but to, I don't know what I was doing, but it was a way of confirming. I was doing an I Ching thing and I got Gene Key 45, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there were so many synchronicities, but what the process was telling me, or what the universe was confirming to me, is if you are familiar with Gene Keys, um, he spells out, Richard Rudge spells out um, uh, the initiation, the stages of initiation and deepening of awakening. And it appears that I'm entering into communion. And I'll just read you part of what this initiation phase is about, because like when I read it, I was like, yes, I mean, that's completely what I felt consciously to release. And it says here, for the grace of Christ to enter you, you must be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And I was absolutely there. And it says to give up your lower bodies and their desires, feelings, memories, dreams, and knowledge to be taken over by the greater being who has been waiting all along within you. Yeah. So that's what communion is. And the communion is having the monadic self, beingness, that clear, direct link to pure spirit without the cloud of your lower mental body. That's the process I am entering into. I cannot say that these fears have not left the mental body yet. I know at some point they will either be burned away via Kundalini Shakti, because what happened, yeah, I forgot to mention that. I don't have currently an active Kundalini process. However, prior to every shift, during meditation, when she is ready for me to release these things, the burning sensation has always happened in my meditation. And I go, oh, something else is being burnt away. And I love it. And the subtle body gets clearer. So that hasn't happened yet. I haven't felt any like shifts like I did with the other thing, getting that monkey off my back. But I know that's the process I'm entering into, the just releasing my need for the mind to know to have knowledge. And it's like what I'm entering into is, am I still recording? It would be so sad if I wasn't recording. Um, wonder if I am. I think I am. Anyway, is because I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the mental body wanting to figure out what am I supposed to do? What is this? Even working on myself, I'm like done with it. I don't care. The past, I don't have a past anymore. That doesn't even come up. Um, but what I'm entering into, what I can feel is the release of the lower mental body, and it's a deepening, a so much more deepening into the body that my body senses are to take over, if that makes sense, if it makes sense, that it's more of a sensory way of experiencing life rather than this clouded mental lower body apparatus clouding everything. Yeah. So this is going to be a great shift, and it's probably it may take me a couple more lifetimes to develop this, but I can I am more often consciously bringing my awareness into my body to have a more sensorial feel of life and a sensorial knowing of what I'm supposed to do next. And being comfortable and okay with being on that cloud of unknowing, of not knowing what's next. I mean, your mind does not like to let go of control. So this is a very interesting process, and I'm sorry this was such a long video, but that's what's happening in this awakening process here. So, yeah, all for now. And until next time, I have more things that I'm going to announce. Okay, bye bye.